can be only one podcast, and may it be the Prince of the Universe. Hi, folks. I'm Matt.
And I'm Bruce.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey. Hey.
Hey.
I heard. No, I didn't hear. I saw. You got to see Roger.
I did.
Wellington.
Carter.
I'm telling you. The man.
The myth.
What? The legend.
Mm-hmm.
What's he been up to?
Just, he had a kid get married and,
It's true. Is he a grandpa yet?
I'm working on it.
Okay. It was Caston, right? They got married.
Yeah, the oldest.
The oldest, yeah. For anyone who doesn't remember, we did probably one of my favorite episodes of Prince of the Universe a few years back, telling our Roger stories.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. Great stuff, actually. So, a lot of good Roger stories. Of course, I want Roger here
Yeah,
next
that's what
time.
happens when you skip church.
Talk about Roger stories. Well, I couldn't. That's when they have their family Christmas. So, my wife's family had their family Christmas then, so I couldn't make it. And I was like, oh, come on, not the one time. It's every time, except for last year. Was the first time they said, I think we'll have Christmas on Christmas. I went, oh, that's great. But they always choose the day before, so couldn't make it. But yeah, that's nice. So, we're going to talk about Waxing On.
Good waxing.
Good waxing, which is the Ralph Macchio autobiography. It came out right after season 5 had wrapped, so this is kind of new, I guess, this year. Cobra Kai is, of course, a big series. I love it. You love it.
Love it.
Yep, great series. One of the few, I don't know what they're called now, 30-year sequels that actually beat out the original. So I hear Willow's bad.
I've heard the same thing.
And I love Willow. So
Wednesday
I don't
is good.
Wednesday?
Just something following up an old series,
Is that following up his Addams Family? What is it?
Tim Burton didn't do the Addams Family movies, so he is doing this. It not directly connected to anything, but none of the new series. They always are doing new series for that. There's even the cartoon series.
Yeah, I know.
Currently, but it's just taking the characters and doing something fun with them. It's made by Tim Burton and the guys that made Smallville.
I hear a lot of good things about it.
It's fun.
I hear a lot of good things.
It's a lot of fun.
Is Annabelle liking that one?
Loves it.
Okay, good. It's better than She-Hulk?
Just a little bit.
But yeah, Willow, the new Willow series. I was excited for it, but then
Disney did it.
And Disney did it, and it's not that good. So, I mean, it's just... And then there's all sorts of... Like, I wasn't a fan of Hocus Pocus, but my wife was disappointed with Hocus Pocus 2. Really excited because she loved the original. And even someone my sister-in-law, who loves the original, is one of her favorite movies ever,
That's kind of
said she was very disappointed with 2. So it's like they just can't get it right. But Cobra Kai did get it right.
Disney was so excited when they were coming out with all these sequels we were going to get, and new stories, and I really wanted to see New Willow. I was looking forward to that.
Yeah, I was too.
I can't
but
bring myself to even try.
I can't watch it now. I just can't. Yeah, because I'm like, I don't want it to ruin my childhood, which is something that you can't say anymore. But anyway,
it's already happened a dozen times over.
Fool me twice is how they say. Fool me twice.
I don't even have a childhood anymore. The way they keep ruining it.
Who knew that all of our childhood friends, all of our childhood heroes were gay? Secretly, everyone in the '80s was in the closet. But anyway, so man, I miss Roger now that I'm thinking about this. Okay, anyway, so Waxing On is the Ralph Macchio story. He went to the movie opening night because Karate Kid didn't get a big movie premiere, so he just went to the movie. No one recognized him when he walked in. When he walked out, of course, he was swamped. His girlfriend made a joke. It was like the Beatles. He said, but everyone was doing the crane kick too. Which, of course,
everybody was doing the crane kick.
Everyone was doing the crane kick. We watched it. The first time I ever watched Karate Kid was at my friend's house for his birthday. And we went outside, and for the rest of the afternoon or evening, we're doing the karate kick, crane kick. Back and forth. Everyone was doing it. But he did say that a few famous people starred for the role. Charlie Sheen, Robert Downey Jr., C. Thomas Howell, the regulars back then. They were all younger back then.
Yeah.
He got the role. The guy's name was going to be Daniel Weber. But when he got the role, they changed it to LaRusso.
Good.
And he goes, yeah, I did that. The headband was Miyagi's idea. The headband. Miyagi told him about the importance of the, Pat's. Yeah.
Not melted.
Had Mariah. Yeah, it was his idea. And so they put the headband in there. His favorite line in the movie is after he gives him the car, he went, "Wow, you're the best friend I've ever had." Because it's coming from, it's a very sentimental moment. And Miyagi goes, "You pretty okay too." Like a little understatement there. But he said he just loves that moment. Whenever he sees it, still gets him every time. It's his favorite line in the series, about a lot of lines. In fact, he said, he goes like, "Oh, when he lets Elizabeth Shue drive, she went, 'You're going to let me drive?' He went, 'Hey, why not? It's the 80s. He said, no one said that back in 1983 when it was filmed. This movie came out in 84.
So they're the ones that started it? It's their fault?
So he says...
I'm now turning on Karate Kid and all things Karate Kid.
That was hey, it's the 80s. It's the 80s.
That's become like, Steve Austin's what? It's been used too many times.
Well, in the 80s, he said back then we only had 3 years of the 80s. He said, I didn't know what it meant. I said, what are we saying? It's the 80s. We're just in there. He said, yeah, it's the 80s. It's a new generation. Oh, and see, now you hear it all the time. But that was interesting because I never thought about that. Because I thought, there's a lot of 80s movies. It's the 80s. But that was in 86, 87, 88 when it was ending.
It's the 90s. It's the 2000s.
It's the 90s. It's the decades or whatever. No one said, hey, it's the 70s. Because 70s.
I can't recall hearing that. Now that you say it.
The studio wanted to cut the drunk scene because they said it was slowing down, didn't appeal to the plot. But the director stood firm and said, no, this scene has to stay. And, of course, it got him a Oscar nomination. He didn't win, but he got an Oscar because of that scene. But it is a very good scene. He said it's the pivotal scene because then you see Daniel practicing on his own. He's not complaining anymore after hearing what Miyagi's been through. What has he got to complain about? His shoulder sore. He's, or whatever. It's all practice all day, no fun. Well, look what Miyagi's been through. And so he starts working on his own. And he said, plus it's got to be the best, training montage ever. He said next to Rocky, because the guy who did Rocky did Karate Kid.
Yeah.
Oh, and he thought Karate Kid was a stupid name. He said, please tell me this is a working title. And he still doesn't think the name's that good.
No, it's good. It's a good name.
So it's a good name. It's a good name, but he thought that can't be it. He thought it was a working title when he looked at the script. Let's see. Oh no, I lost my notes there. Let me go back here. Elizabeth Shue, they encourage ad-libbing. So in the part where Elizabeth Shue goes, it's Allie with a Y. He said it's Daniel with an E, at the end. And he made that up during one of their rehearsals, and they both laughed, and it made it to the script the next day. And so was the case. He said while they were playing the games in the arcade, that was a real arcade. Yeah. They went to. They played games he said the best day ever. They just played games, rode go-karts. He said, we're really having fun. He said, but what you didn't see, he said, every time Elizabeth Shue lost, she got mad. Mad. She's very competitive, he said. So the shots of her laughing and smiling were taken at the beginning or just while they were playing. But he said not at the end because she'd get mad if she didn't win because she was very competitive. And that they never were romantically involved at the time because he was kind of with a girlfriend at the time, but she had a rule, you never date anyone on set while you're filming. So I was like, oh, okay, that's a good rule, I guess. He originally turned down the offer of How I Met Your Mother. Mm-hmm. Have you seen this episode? I've only seen the ending.
I've barely seen any of it.
Okay, I heard it was good, but never watched it. But that episode, I saw the last scene of it. What they're doing is the main character, Doogie Howser, Neil Patrick Harris, is a jerk. But for his birthday, they celebrate his birthday. He loves the film Karate Kid. So all day long, they have this big surprise for him. And there's a mime, a clown kind of, who doesn't talk but blows a horn, does things, who's following him all day. Well, then they bring in their big surprise, which is Ralph Macchio, the Karate Kid. He went, no, I hate him. He said, the real hero, Johnny, the Cobra Kai. And he said, Johnny was the bad. He got cheated by an illegal kick. Johnny was noble. Johnny was just trying to get his girlfriend back and just try to twist the bad guy is good theory, which he said started the seeds for Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
Because Johnny is the good guy. But the thing is, at the end, he said, not this hack, and Ralph Macchio's like, hey, Well, then the clown goes, yes, he born in 1964. He started his career, blah, blah, blah. And everyone looks, and the clown takes off the nose, takes off the hat, and wipes off the makeup, and it's William Zabka. And so, of course, he's very happy, but he's been in it the whole time. And afterwards, they said, he said, Daniel Russo, Ralph Macchio turned it down. But then his kids go, Dad, that's our favorite show. You need to be on this show. So he did it. And William Zabka afterwards kept calling him. He's like, we need to, there's a story here. There's a story here that Johnny thinks he's the good guy, and this is why. He's like, there's no story. But then as Comic-Con started going, he said the first Comic-Con he went to, there was a guy in the line who wore this just fan-made shirt, Justice for Johnny. And so he started talking about, he said, okay, I got to hear, why is there justice for Johnny, the bad guy? And he tells him, he does the whole How You Met Your Mother thing. He's like, whatever. And some people were cheering, yelling Cobra Kai, and some people were defending, the Karate Kid. But he said, then I understood that he had something. He said, but you got to understand, everything we got from anyone was just a nugget of an idea.
Yeah.
Hit the pitch. But I want to see more than that. What's more? And then he thought, without Miyagi's the heart, and without Pat, he said it's just really not worth doing. Which I can see. If the whole gang isn't back, then you don't do, like they stopped doing Dukes of Hazzard TV movies. Not because they weren't hitting in the ratings. So many people had died after the second one. They're like, you know what? We did one without Boss Hall, but now that Uncle Jesse, people are dying now, it's not going to be the same with half the crowd. So you stop while, everyone's practically alive there. And so that's what he was thinking until these guys from Hot Tub Time Machine came up to him. He's like, now Hot Tub Time Machine, hilarious little comedy, but it's kind of dumb, silly joke.
It's silly.
And he said when he sat down with him, he didn't think that these guys had anything. And then when he started showing him what they had, he's like, wow, this is it. This is it. But the thing is, though, they came to him last. And he said, I understand why. He said, because they were prepared to do the show, I guess, without him. Because they didn't think he'd say yes, because he'd said no so many times. But he said yes. But supposedly William Zabka, but William called him and he answered, he went, they got you? They talked to you? He's all happy. But they had talked to I guess they talked to Martin Kove and everyone before him because they were unsure whether he was going to come back. He came back for a music video called Sweep the Leg. I never knew this. I watched the music video. It was made back in the early 2000s or something. So they're all looking kind of young, but William Zabka's living in a trailer with the Cobra Kai actors who are older now. He's watching the fight again and again and again as the music video is going along. And then at the very end is a cameo by Ralph Macchio, which they convinced him last minute to join. He had to watch the completed video first because it takes place after the video because he didn't want to do anything. He was just very careful with the character. He said, I don't want to make too much of a big deal out of it. I think he was also looking to get a new acting career too. But he did a Funny or Die skit. I never saw this, but it's like the true story of Ralph Macchio. Ralph Macchio, in general, is a pretty nice guy. He's been married to the same wife his whole career. It was his girlfriend back during Karate Kid. So he's never cheated, doesn't do drugs, doesn't do any of that. So they had to make up things, like his agent's going, you need to have a scandal. Go get you a hooker. What would I do with a hooker? And his wife goes, you know exactly what you do with a hooker. You'd ask her to snuggle with you.
I do think I remember saying that.
And then, of course, at the end, she's going, are you sure this is all you want? Yeah. Oh, such a good hug. He's hugging the hooker. He's like, yeah, this is great. Like he's doing something dirty finally. But he thought that was really funny. But the thing is, though, he said this was, the Moons just came about where someone found the perfect script and everything worked. He sings the praises of Cobra Kai over and like the kids to William Zabka to everyone involved. And I mean, he doesn't give himself as much credit, but he said he was there, but he said what he loved about it and what he said had to happen. He said, you need to have some good Miyagi moments. And his favorite ones are anything about, him visiting Miyagi's grave, or in season 2 when he goes over to
Japan
or Okinawa. He said that's a great scene. But he said it's called the Miyagi-verse. So anything Mr. Miyagi was in counts. So the new Karate Kid from Will Smith, no. In fact, he said there was a big misunderstanding when TMZ was following around saying, what do you think about the new Karate Kid movie coming out by Will Smith? He went, he'd never heard of it. He went, oh, well, he said, reboots are not usually my thing, but I wish him the best of luck. He said, of course, in the newspaper the next morning. It said, Ralph Macchio slams the new Karate Kid. And he said, I immediately got a call by Will Smith assuring me he was going to make good, wasn't going to ruin the baby, was going to pay it homage, and even offered him a cameo in the film. And he said, no thanks, you go and do it, best of wishes. He said, you know how journalists twist things up. But he said, I don't think he said he ever watched it. He saw bits and pieces, but he's not interested in a reboot.
I like the reboot. It's fun.
I agree. Now, I did see it. I thought it was fun. Jackie Chan refused to be called Mr. Miyagi because he really respects Pat Morita, who was a big respected actor over there. He said, you got to change that. I can't be Miyagi. I got to be someone else. So, and it was decent, yeah, but it's not part of the Miyagi verse. But what he didn't say, which is what I know, is the next Karate Kid.
Oh, yeah.
It is part of the Miyagi verse. Now, ready? He's never watched the next Karate Kid. In fact, he said they never told him about it.
I don't blame him.
And he said, and this was this was during a period where he and Pat had kind of separated, didn't talk for a little while. Nothing bad. They just lost their way.
Yeah.
And so he didn't even know about it. And they tried to do it without him. He's like, kind of a little upset by that. But then he harkens back to how they cut out Elizabeth Shue from the series because she didn't get asked back. And he said and by the way, Elizabeth Shue, Ralph Macchio, and William Zabka are all New York Mets fans. Automatically my best friends. But he said he saw Elizabeth Shue at a Mets game. And he said it was in '86. And they said hello, what's going on? And that was when Karate Kid 2 had come out.
Oh.
But he didn't think about it. He said he really regretted that. And when she was coming back to the show Cobra Kai, he said, we need to do her justice. He said, we really need to do her justice because the way she got written out of the show and how they did it was Daniel got hot-headed, saw things the wrong way, and misinterpreted the whole situation instead of Allie being unfaithful like that. I remember that. I did not like Karate Kid 2 for the longest, and I think that's why. I was like, Allie would never betray Daniel like that. After all that, she leaves him for a football player? What? She goes back to a job? That doesn't seem right. So I didn't like that they wrote her off like that. And thinking back, he didn't either. He said that was one of his regrets. His other regret was not going when Pat Morita got nominated for the Oscar. They asked both of them to present. And he went, no, I don't see the point in going. Well, his buddy was, Pat was nominated. He should have gone to support him. He said, I really regret that. But then years later, 2005, a year before his death or whenever, 2004, he was asked to come and present the Lifetime Asian Achievement Award for Pat Morita, and he definitely did that. So kind of made it up. And they connected again. And he said on his answer machine, he wished he'd kept the messages on there because Pat would always call him, and at the end, he'd always end the message with, I love your ass, baby! Because he was nothing like Mr. Miyagi.
Oh, yeah.
He was a character. In fact, the studio did not want him. No one wanted him. They read everyone but him. And then when he finally came in and did it, they were like, all right, give it to him. But because he was Arnold on
most of his other
Happy
roles,
Days or something? Or that's all they could see him as.
Kind of a crazy, zany type character.
Yeah, this is his first kind of serious in a way. But he said Mr. Miyagi had his own, twist of humor, which was Pat a lot. A lot of that was ad lib that he would do. So, and a lot of the stuff he talks about, and he goes back and forth. He doesn't go in order, which is what I thought. He loves Karate Kid 2 a lot because the filming in Okinawa was great. It was a great experience. Great actors. He and Chosen were friends on the set, even though they were enemies in the movie. They were friends, and happy to have him back in the series, and glad he's getting his moments. Which, by the way, Chosen this past series was he was on an all-time high. He was good when he was introduced the first season, but now
I know, I'm loving Chosen.
Oh, everyone loves Chosen. He's great. He's great. But then he really doesn't talk about Karate Kid 3.
Huh.
He said Karate Kid 3 was just bad all the way through. He said, but
obviously,
he said these guys really loved it, and they said, no, we're going to make this really part of it.
I mean,
he said, I got to be honest. He said, they took trash, he said, and spun it into gold.
Yes, they did.
I said, yes, they did. That Rumpelstiltskin. They Rumpelstiltskined it. They took that straw, because I've said this on the other podcast before, that when, what was it? When we were about to watch the first season of Cobra Kai, they brought out Karate Kid in theaters. And my friend Benjamin wanted to watch Karate Kid 2 because that was all his favorite, so we did. I said, well, you got to come over tomorrow night and watch Karate Kid 3. He'd never seen it. And I was like, oh, you got to see this. And it was just a mess.
It's terrible.
And I put it in as a joke. I said, they'll never mention this. They may mention 2 because 2's serious, but they'll never talk about 3. And 3 is like the biggest one, I guess, besides the first one, that they talk about. Really, really amazing stuff that they kind of twisted that in. But he said it's been great. But again, the next Karate Kid may be on that horizon.
They're going to do it.
Are you ready for some Hilary Swank?
I am. See, I'm teaching him how to do the back kick or whatever it is.
Yeah, let me see. It was December when they filmed the boat scene on Karate Kid when he's learning balance. And so he said, you don't know this, but he said, when I fall in, it looks like a quick edit of him getting into the boat. No, he fell in and immediately jumped back in the boat. He said, and what you can kind of, and I need to go back and see it, but what you can kind of see is, well, no, you all wet like fish. That was added in there, post edit. The thing is, he and Pat are both laughing. Pat could not believe, he just started laughing at how fast Ralph Macchio jumped back in the boat, and Ralph Macchio was laughing too. But because he was laughing, they had to edit and put in a joke there. So, you all wet behind you, whatever he said. He hated 3, by the way. He hated it.
Because it's terrible.
Yeah, well, he just said that it was just not that good.
It's only good because of Cobra Kai.
There was a 1 minute. The rumor that there was always an Ash versus Jason versus Freddy was, as Sam Raimi said, a 1 minute conversation with the studio. Said, we'd like to do this. And it was like, okay, well, Ash has to win. No, we're gonna make it a tie. Nope. And that was it. Then they moved on. There was actually pitched by the studio, Rocky meets the Karate Kid.
I've heard him talk about that on the interview.
And he said it's true, but it was a 2 minute conversation, 2 minutes, where they pitched him the idea that Rocky's son and the Karate Kid's son are getting in trouble, and it's up to their fathers to team up to help their sons.
That would have been terrible.
And they laughed it off. They went, you can't be serious. But because it was from the same director, he's like, no way. And then he compliments, he doesn't know if this got pitched to Stallone or not, but compliments Stallone on how he took Rocky, the direction he took Rocky. After, what was it called? Balboa and on, which I agree. Excellent stuff. He's not in Creed 3, which I'm not going to watch. Did that even come out?
It's coming out.
Oh, okay. I'm not going to watch it. If no Rocky, no me. You see Creed 2?
I did.
Rocky scenes were excellent.
Drago. I love the scene with him and Drago.
My wife felt bad for Drago.
I know.
Because Russia's turned against him. And then that scene where he comes into the restaurant.
That's a fantastic scene.
You look at Rocky's top 5 best scenes, that's in it. I mean, the speech from the first Creed is up there for top 5 Rocky scenes ever. Balboa as a movie is just excellent.
Yeah.
It's just excellent. So, it's weird, but when Rocky got older, he just got better. That's just so good. Let me see. He likes the Cobra Kai series. He talks about spin-offs have been mentioned. And I don't know if he's giving away stuff or whatever, but an original Cobras series. I guess Johnny and all them when they're younger.
Okay.
Whoever kid they got to play Johnny in that season, it must be his son.
It has to be.
But would you like to see that? Like before Daniel LaRusso came.
We'll see. I would try it.
Okay. Another one would be a Miyagi prequel series about young Miyagi.
Ending with his family dying?
Yeah. I guess, training with his best friend, but, running away, going in the army. I don't know. But the thing is, though, no. I'm against that one.
Yeah.
That one, I mean, I guess I'd watch it.
It's one of those things, Mr. Miyagi needs to be the old man the whole time. I don't want to see him as a youth. It's kind of one of those things like, you see him fall in love, and it's like watching your dad kiss your mom. It's just like, eh.
Yeah. The original Cobras thing, I like that. I guess they'd use the young Silver and young Martin Cove to do it, and that'd be interesting. And they said the other one would be, of course, spinoffs of the young kids. No. No, I tolerate them kindly because they're part of this series. But
once they wrap up the main story, you don't want them to switch it over and just be the next generation.
And I don't want to have them date every single person on the roster back and forth and back and forth and flip back and forth. No, I don't need teen school drama anymore. I tolerate them. I think Miguel is a good actor. I've said this before. Hawk was good, and they've kind of don't know what to do with him now. Yeah. Now that his story arc too soon, and
they
now
don't want to drop him, but they don't know what to do with him anymore.
They have no story for him anymore. And then the other ones are just there. They're just there as filler, and either that or they're just there and they're awful too. So I tolerate the kids, but I don't like any of them. Like even Miguel, I don't need what he has in Cobra Kai is good enough for me. And Hawk too. And
they're going to be too old for a new series by the time thing's over with.
I don't know. I don't know when it's going to end either. He didn't say that, but they just wrapped up on season 5. But overall, I thought it was good. Let me ask you this though: Karate Kid 2, yay or nay? I don't think I've ever asked you this. Okay. I know you like the original one. Did you? I didn't like it growing up. I hated it.
I loved it growing up, and I feel lesser about it now. Rewatching it, the first Karate Kid is just fantastic.
It's great. It's excellent. Best one still.
But the second one, it's fun, but it's not a great movie.
When I first saw it as a kid, I was so disappointed because I was hoping I wanted to rinse and repeat. I wanted another tournament, Johnny Part 2, just like Rocky Part 2. I wanted to go against Apollo Creed again. I wanted all that, and I didn't get any of that. And the secret move was him just slamming his fists together back and forth. Which, how do you?
And the drums. Don't forget the drums.
That was dumb. But then watching it now, I appreciate it a little bit more. And the opposite. When I first saw Karate Kid 3, I saw it immediately when it came on video. I rented it. It was at my grandparents' house. We rented it. I watched it. I loved it. And what? I remember I was whatever, 89?
I hated it as a kid.
13. I was 13.
As an adult.
13. And I remember I told my brothers, this is the best one yet. It's better than the first one.
He has one punch in the entire movie.
Yeah, and it's terrible. It's terrible. It's a terrible, but because they're back at the tournament and it's fight time and all the fights and stuff, the fight in the bonsai tree store and all the cool fight scenes and the bad villain. Ooh. Man, I ate it up. And then watching it years later, I think back in college, whatever, I watched it again. I was like, yeah. Nothing good about it. Here, sign this document saying you'll be in the tournament, or we'll drop you off a cliff to your death. Little over the top. I wonder where those guys are. Are they bringing those actors back? No, because they're in jail by now.
It was the 80s. A lot of cocaine.
It was the 80s. Well, that's what we said. Yeah, that's cocaine. I love that excuse for that. And then finally, I got to ask, just because we're talking about all things Cobra Kai here, Karate Kid, the next Karate Kid.
It's not good. It's probably not
I didn't see that till college, probably when I was living with you. I
didn't see it until just very recently when me and Brody watched 3 movies as he was enjoying Cobra Kai.
I watched it in college or slightly, maybe after, because I never seen it.
I'm pretty sure we watched 3 together, and you probably got 4, and I just tapped out.
Okay, all right.
Because I didn't see it until just recently.
I watched it around that time, and I was like, oh, this is bad.
It's not as bad as 3.
Oh, it's worse. No, I'll take 3 all day. I'm serious. 4 is really bad. It is definitely the worst. It is beyond bad.
I can't wait to see Hilary Swank on Cobra Kai.
No, she's not doing nothing. She could be. I mean, to be honest, it's the only movie I don't own. So I own the first 3. Don't own the next one. I wouldn't buy it either.
I got the box set of 3, and I've got 4 digitally on my Voodoo.
Well, 4 that now is in the box set for the same price. I'd rather buy 3 for the same price and then get 4. And then Cobra Kai 6. Is there anything you want to see as we wrap up here?
Hilary Swank.
Not when I'm taking a sip of tea, please.
I want it in there. I want all of it, and I want the bad guys from 4 to show up. I want it all. I want it all.
Oh my goodness. Okay, Kurgan, you want it all. Just give him the prize, folks. That's it for now. Read Waxing On if you like Cobra Kai, if you like the Karate Kid series. I can definitely recommend it. I think it's good. I think any Karate Kid fan will like it. If you're just watching Cobra Kai, he does give a lot of Cobra Kai stuff too. He's a really big fan of it too. But mainly the Karate Kid movies, he bounces along. A lot of good information in there, a few laughs and everything. This is a biography I can recommend. All right, folks, we'll see you next time on Princes of the Universe.